So for this video, I decided to take a different approach to choosing a player to cover. I would spin an NFL team, a draft class within the last 10 years, and a round in the draft including undrafted players. So this is what I would get. Of course. So I looked up on what was the few of the most notable undrafted rookies the Raiders picked up: Nicholas Morrow, Pharaoh Brown, Breon Borders, and Colby Wadman. Instead of me deciding between the players, I put up a poll to see what my audience wanted to see. Let's see the results. Okay, so I didn't get that many votes, but there's still a winner here. Be sure to be on my Twitter or on my Instagram to possibly make some choices for me in the future. Now, let's get to Colby Wadman. Colby Wadman was born on April 19th, 1985 in Bangor, Maine. He would deal with constant travel from Bangor to Glenburn all the way to Chesapeake, Virginia. Then his parents would divorce, relocating him to Thousand Oaks, California. There he would pick up a love for sports, playing soccer, baseball, basketball, and ultimately, football. He would be attending Thousand Oaks High School, where he made football his sport priority. His freshman year, he would play tight end, defensive end, and punter. But after a season, he would concentrate on punting as that was his best position. He would double down on it as he would work with Chris Saylor, a former kicker from UCLA that has 6 years of professional experience and runs one of the most prominent kicking camps in the country. From there, he would excel, being by his senior year was named first team All-Mormonte League in all Ventura County, posting a 39.9 yard gross average while downing 8 punts within the 20-yard line. He would garner interest from Pac-12, ACC, and SCE schools throughout high school, but would choose to stay in Cali and sign his letter of intent to UC Davis. UC Davis was going through a significant change into 2013 after retirement of head coach Bob Biggs, who was there since 1993, and replacing with Cal running back Ron Gold. The preseason polls had him faring low in the Big Sky Conference. They would also lose their primary punter in Colton Schmidt, who would go on to spend 5 years in the NFL and was last seen in the XFL in 2020. As a true freshman, Wadman would be the starting punter for the Aggies. He would have a solid season with 71 punts for 2,723 net yards for a 38.4 average, helping the Aggies be elite in regards of punt return defense. He would earn all Big Sky honorable mention for his freshman season. Heading into 2014 would raise expectations as he would be named into the CFPA punter watch list in the preseason. Although he had less punts of 54, he gradually improves, going for 2,282 net yards for a 42.3 average. He would get honorable mention for a consecutive season and lose the punter award to North Dakota State's Ben LeCompte. In 2015 would be a slight stumble, earning no accolades, but ranked 40th in FCS in average with 40.6 from 57 punts for 2,313 yards. His 2016 senior season would cap off with his strongest season, going 62 punts for 2,677 net yards for a 43.2 average, ranked number 8 in the nation. His performance would also earn him another honorable mention in the Big Sky and voted by his team for the Special Teams Award. Overall, Wadman would have a consistent success with the Aggies and was ready for the NFL. Heading into the 2017 punter draft class, Wadman had competition, being buried by guys like Cameron Johnston and Austin Rico. He would not earn a combine invite and attended his college pro day. The day came and Wadman and every punter in the class would go undrafted, the first time this happened since 1998. From here, Wadman made an eternal promise to himself. For the next 3 years, get into the NFL, or that's it. So his professional career begins from square one. After the draft, Wadman would participate in rookie minicamps with the Colts and the Raiders, but left without a contract. The calls would go still by summer, and Colby would settle back home in Thousand Oaks, where he had a job delivering pizzas. But he was still practicing and staying in shape for the next opportunity. That next opportunity would be when the Raiders called him back, and on March 16, 2018, 2 days after the new season began, Wadman would sign with Oakland. The Raiders and their starting partner Marquette King were on a rocky relationship heading into the 2018 season, with King even hinting to retirement. So Colby's signing gave the Raiders some backup depending on what happened next. It is also worth noting that this was Jon Gruden's first year back as Raiders head coach. A couple weeks later, the Raiders would release King, ultimately being a Gruden decision not approving of his personality. This resulted in Wadman being the lone punter heading into the 2018 NFL Draft. 10 days prior to King's release, the Raiders would trade fullback Jameis Olawale and their 6th round pick to the Dallas Cowboys for their 5th round pick. This would be notable because in the draft, the Raiders with that pick would draft Florida punter Johnny Townsend, bringing in competition for Wadman. In Oakland's perspective though, this would make Colby expendable and 2 weeks later would waive him. Townsend would go on and last one season with the Raiders and move around the next 3 years and was last seen in the XFL for the Orlando Guardians. The preseason came and went, and Wadman was a free agent going into the season. But he would earn a workout with the Denver Broncos and on September 26th, signed with their practice squad. This move was mainly made to pressure their starting punter, Marquette King. On how King and Wadman crossed paths more than once, something we'll see one more time in their careers. The move was also made by the influence of the Broncos special teams coordinator, Tom McMahon, who brought in Wadman for a rookie tryout back when he was with the Colts. He still had interest after moving to Denver in 2018. 2 games later, King would be placed on IR with a thigh injury. This would result in Wadman being promoted to the active roster and start his NFL debut in Week 5 against the New York Jets. In his debut, he would have 8 punts for 329 net yards in a 34-16 loss. 3 weeks after the game, the Broncos and King agreed to releasing him with an injury settlement, giving Wadman full confidence with the punting job for the remaining season. To finish the season, Wadman would have 65 punts for 2,905 net yards for a 44.7 average. He was a top 10 punter in regards of touchbacks, but was in 28th in net average. Overall, he has some improvements needed to be made heading into the 2019 offseason. The Broncos would try and bring competition for Colby, signing Justin Vogel in July, only to release him 4 days later. Reports saying that Vogel was not looking good in camp and was outpunted by Wadman. Because of the performance and heavy favoritism from McMahon, Colby would keep the starting punter job for the 2019 season.
He's going to be a great punter.
To quickly summarize the season play, Wadman's inconsistency did not improve. Punts were shanked, and he did not improve on his numbers even though he played a full season, with 78 punts for 3,070 net yards for a 44.4 average. He was a bottom 3rd punter in the NFL. Almost immediately, Denver was looking for options. They would work out Texas A&M Shane Trabuca and former Texan Trevor Daniel around December. Daniel would win the future reserve contract into the 2020 offseason, but Trabuca would head to the XFL. Even with the signing, most saw that Wadman was likely to win the position with McMahon coming back for another season. But on March 24th, the Broncos would sign Sam Martin to a 3-year, $7 million deal. A month later, on April 23rd, both Daniel and Colby Wadman were released in favor of Martin. As a free agent punter in 2020, Wadman would get tryouts in responsive teams looking to have backups in case of a COVID outbreak. So he would have tryouts with the Packers and the Raiders, but got no contract. This would be a common occurrence into 2021, having tryouts with the Falcons, Jets, and the Texans, but still no contract. Until finally on December 29th, 2021, Colby would sign with the 49ers to their practice squad. The move was made in the case that their starter Mitch Wisnowski was not able to clear COVID protocols. But unfortunately for Wadman, Wisnowski was able to clear and played Week 17. Colby was released the next day. A few days later, he would trial with his former team in the Broncos after Sam Martin was on COVID protocol. He didn't get a contract. The 2022 season was over, and Wadman was still a free agent. But then an opportunity would present itself in the spring. Over a month would pass since his last tryout, and he was still looking for a field to punt on. But then came February, when he was drafted by the USFL Birmingham Stallions in the inaugural draft. He would try out for the USFL late January and impressed enough to be drafted by Skip Holtz and the Stallions. For the 2022 USFL season, Wadman was the Stallions' starting punter. He would have 46 punts for 2,073 net yards with a 45.1 average. Wadman and the Stallions would go and win the USFL championship. After the season, Wadman would garner some NFL tryouts with the Colts after a torn Achilles from their starter Roberto Sanchez, the Raiders, being their fourth interaction since being in the league, and the Chargers, but ultimately got no contract. He would come back to the Stallions for the USFL 2023 season, where he would lead the league in punting average and earn all USFL honors. He would also overtake last season's all USFL punter Brandon Wright's USFL record in gross punt average. He would only have 27 punts for 1,315 net yards with a 48.7 average. The Stallions would win the championship once again, making Wadman a two-time league champ. Colby would re-sign with the Stallions a couple weeks after the championship, but then an opportunity would present to Wadman with the Washington Commanders, and he would be released by Birmingham to sign back in the NFL since early 2022. Washington's starter Tress Way was dealing with lower back tightness, so he would deal with holding snaps while Wadman punted for the preseason game against the Cleveland Browns. In the game, Wadman punted the ball 4 times, averaging 45.5 yards per punt, and the longest going for 49 yards. After the game, it was clear Way was healthy enough to continue the preseason and Wadman was waived. He would have a trial with the Eagles after Aaron Sapas failed to make the active roster, but once again did not get a contract. After the 2023 season began, Wadman would sign back with the Stallions on September 25th. Coincidentally, this was around the same time that reports came out that the USFL and the XFL were in talks for a merger, and by December was formally announced as the United Football League. The Stallions would survive team cutdowns and had to go through phases of rearranging players from the cut teams. In the first phase, surviving teams had to protect 53 players while the others were placed into a draft. Colby would be protected by the Stallions and did not have to go through the drafting process. Wadman would be the starting punter for the Stallions once more. During the Week 4 matchup against the DC Defenders, he would suffer an ankle injury. Stallions would sign Ohio State Drew Chrisman for Week 5, and after a solid performance, along with Wadman still needing to heal, the Stallions would release Wadman, making him a free agent rehabilitating an injury. Colby Wadman is a resilient punter. The successful consistency in UC Davis, the struggles in Denver, and the amount of NFL tryouts he partook in just to leave empty-handed, and still going strong 8 years since finishing college. To start his professional career, he gave himself a 3-year window to make it in the NFL. Although he's only got 2 seasons down, he has made an impressive career with what he's had, when he could have gone back to Thousand Oaks and delivered more pizzas.